In this part, we visited the museum of the kingdom called Nader Afshar or Baghnadari, which is one of the most interesting historical areas, and we saw the remains of war tools such as very heavy axes and swords that this king used during his reign. In this video, we are going to share them with you. Dear friends, it took a lot of time to prepare this video. Please subscribe to the channel and like the video to support us. Nader was a simple warrior and did not belong to any big and powerful family. His father, Imam Goli Paustan Dozi, was a leather worker from the Abavard region who lived a poor life. His relatives were from Afshar Turkmen clans who had migrated to North Khorasan since the Safavi era. The conditions before Nader Afshar came to power go back to the reign of the unworthy Hossein Safavi, whose unworthiness had caused Iran to fall into the hands of the Afghans. Nader was not yet 18 years old when he was captured along with his mother in one of the Uzbek Khorasan wars. He escaped from captivity after his mother's death. Then he returned to Khorasan and served the ruler named Ali Bey. He gathered a small group around him, and after conquering several areas of Khorasan, he gave himself the rare nickname of Nader Koli Bey. At the age of 30, he joined his companions in Mashhad to serve Malik Mahmud Sistani. But in a short time, there was a fight between them, and then Nader returned to his camp in Kalat Dirgas. At this time, he acquired the governments of Nessa and Abayard. Tamasab, who was ruling in Dangan at that time and had heard the fame of Nader's bravery, invited him to serve. After some time, he nicknamed Nader Tamaz Koli and entrusted the main works of his palace to him. In Khorasan and Estrabad, Nader greatly expanded his power, which was the power of his master, Tahmasp. Then, he sent an ambassador to the Russians and demanded the evacuation of the northern lands, and they also agreed to evacuate those areas, which had suffered nothing during the 12-year occupation of Jelin except for casualties caused by native diseases, provided that Jelin is not captured by the Ottoman forces. The expulsion of Afghana from Isfahan and the occupation of western Iran by the Ottomans were rare next steps. Ashraf Afghan, who still considered himself the king of Iran at that time, hastily sent his army to Khorasan and besieged Semnan to prevent Nader's progress in the central lands. Nader, who was planning to go to Tehran to confront Afghana, dominated and defeated the Ashraf Afghan corps near Semnan and by the Maimandast River. Nader returned to Shiraz after finishing the work of Ashraf's armies and went to Isfahan via Lorestan. On the way in Borodjerd, he was presented with the crown of Tahmasab and the charter of the government of Khorasan, Makran and Sist, and the Shah agreed to marry one of his sisters named Razia Begum to express his satisfaction with his services. After handing over the crown and position, Nader was able to capture Malar and Hamadan and Kermanshah after a long period of fighting. Then, at the same time, he took his army towards Azerbaijan, and by fighting with the Ottoman army, he inflicted many casualties on them and captured Tabriz. But at this time, alarming news of the Afghana rebellion in Herat reached Nadir's ears, which made him abandon the complete occupation of Azerbaijan and return to Khorasan to destroy the enemy's forces. In the meantime, the king's invasion of Azerbaijan without Nader's knowledge, which was instigated by the courtiers, caused him to be defeated by the Ottoman army, and under threats from the Ottoman king, he was forced to enter into a shameful contract that included giving them parts of Iran. Nader was very angry. Therefore, he sent a message to the king and requested to join him in Tehran or come to take appropriate measures. But the king did not pay attention to this rare request. Nader went to Isfahan to reassure the king on his behalf. Then, he invited the Shah to the 1,000 Jarib garden of Isfahan and gave him a luxurious reception. At that reception, the king, under the influence of drinking wine, made some rude gestures, which caused the astonishment and discouragement of many of the elders of the city. At this time, Nader, in collusion with the same officials, removed Tahmasp from the throne and called his new son the new king, and he became the deputy of the throne. After that, Nader managed to destroy the Bakhtiari and Zand tribes, and then captured Zahab and besieged Baghdad, but he too was finally defeated in the wars. This defeat was near the Tigris and by the Ottomans. With this defeat, Nader retreated to Hamadan. He stayed in Hamadan for 2 months and completed his court and equipment. Then, together with his troops, he was able to besiege Baghdad and kill the Ottoman soldiers around Akdarband. After many wars, including the war with Muhammad Khan Baloch and the Ottomans, Nader pitched a tent in the Mughan plain where the Kar and Ars rivers meet, and there he prolonged his stay on the pretext of hunting and 31,000 animals, including 5,000 deer, and he hunted the gazelle and invited all Jewish and Zoroastrian rulers, clerics, merchants, and code gods there. In this parliament, while referring to the state of the country and describing his services, he made a dramatic resignation and asked those present to exempt him from continuing his service. Speakers of the Majlis stated in one word that they do not consider anyone but him worthy of the throne. Expressing his displeasure and reluctance, Nader accepted that offer on the condition of leaving the Shia and anti-Sunni prejudices. Despite the wishes of the Shia clerics who were present in the assembly, an agreement was reached and Nader was immediately crowned there as the king of Iran. Then he assigned his son Reza Kholi Mirza as the governor of Khorasan and his brother Ibrahim Khan to govern Azerbaijan and the Caucasus. Nader Afshar's attack and conquest of Kandahar and invasion of India, which, while increasing the area of Iran, supplied his treasury, which was empty during several years of invasions and looting caused by revolutions. In the implementation of this decision, Nader conquered Kabul and Jalalabad and appointed his son Reza Kholi as his deputy. Then he conquered Peshawar and Lahore and proceeded to capture Delhi from there. The ruler of India prepared to confront him with 300,000 troops, 2,000 elephants, and 1,000 cannonballs to explode in the Karnal plain north of Delhi. But Nader, although the number of soldiers in his army did not reach 60,000 people, cleverly broke the relationship between the Indian army and Delhi and was able to capture the city of Delhi. He, however, did not fight the King of India and invited him into his tent quite amicably and went with him to the city of Delhi. Then he entered the Delhi mosque and ordered a massacre in which countless innocent people were killed. Finally, Nader was given the key to the city's treasury, 6 million rupees, and many expensive jewels, such as the throne of Kabus and the diamond of Mount Noor. Nader Afshar stayed in Delhi for about 58 days and chose the daughter of the King of India to marry his son. Before returning from India, he established a council there. In that assembly, he honored the king and placed the crown of India on his head with his own hands. On his return from India and after punishing the Afghan insurgents, he went to Herat, where he hid the treasures of India and proudly displayed some of them to the common people. After that, he attacked these groups because of the repeated wars of Uzbeks during the Safavid period and their domination. From there, he marched to Khorasan and killed the governor there. Then he returned to Khorasan, and after a short stay, he went to the Caucasus via Ashtrabad and Mazandaran. His wars in these areas were very long and exhausting, and Nader was injured in Mazandaran due to an attempt on his life. Sometime later, his son was accused of killing his father, so Nader blinded him, but he immediately regretted it. Nader Afshar's invasion of Dagestan lasted for 1.5 years, but he did not achieve any progress or capture. He then marched from Dagestan to Kirkuk to fight with the Ottomans, but he did not succeed in conquering that area again and retreated. The ruler of Baghdad also avoided war with him, and Nader was able to visit shrines in Iraq with his companions. After this period, Nader managed to calm the rebellion of Hotki Khan Biglar Begi Fars and Qajar in Ashtrabad. But in the meantime, a lot of damage was done to Shiraz, many people were killed, and the city was destroyed. Muhammad Ali Rafsanjani's uprising, which was supported by the Ottoman king, led to the renewal of Afshar's rare war with this government, and he won the last honor of his life in this war by winning over the Ottomans. He was very sick in this war, so in some places he was moved to a bed. In the last days of his life, Nader was extremely psychotic and he committed many brutalities. He violently took back the 3-year tax of Iran, which he had given during the conquest of Delhi, from the people. While traveling from Isfahan to Khorasan, he severely threatened the people of Shiraz, and in Kerman, he built a big hill called Qila Minar from the skulls of war prisoners. Since Nader knew that his policy was anti-Shia and that many scholars and supporters of religion were also dissatisfied with him, he suddenly decided to kill all Shia clerics and companions. This caused some Afshar and Qajar rulers to conspire to kill Nader Afshar. Therefore, under the pretext of obligatory work, they entered the king's tent and killed Nader with a blade and an axe. Immediately after his murder, the orderly army of the king was destroyed, All the treasures of the government were looted and the city became very chaotic. After the murder of Nader Afshar, the founder of the Afshariya dynasty, conflicts and bloody wars arose between the members of this family. In these disputes, none of the members of the Afshar family could expand their rule in Iran. The only rule of Shahrukh, Nader's grandson, was in Khorasan, which lasted until the end of the 18th century. Finally, Karim Zand, who was one of the chiefs of the tribes, was able to rule all over Iran except Khorasan after the death of Nader and the Ottoman government's policy through many conflicts and wars in Iran and established peace and security in the country. In the period of chaos and unrest in Iran that continued for more than 10 years, the Ottoman government, with a cautious and far-sighted attitude towards Iran, took the appropriate policy of peace. This government did not seek profit from Iran's chaotic situation and approved and recognized Karim's government. Dear friends, it took a lot of time to prepare this video. Please subscribe to the channel and like the video to support us.